Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am going to go over my own personal story today. I have talked at you for the last month and you're like, okay, but who are you and why should I care? What have you been through? How can I relate? And I get it. I get it. So I'm going to talk to you all about my history as a former athlete and as the athlete I am now and why I've gotten to this point. What I'm wanting you or anyone to take away from this is just to know one, you're not alone with your struggles. No matter how somebody looks on the outside, as far as like if they're put together, if you feel like they have it all figured out, no one knows what the fuck they're doing. So just remember that. Also, too, things like Instagram, yeah, that's like a highlight reel. And creators are only putting out like the good shit for the most part. Yeah, there's some vulnerability posts put in there, but you don't really get a full look at somebody's actual life and their background by just scrolling through their page a few seconds. So I just want to let you know that I totally relate to if you're feeling like you have some huge identity grief, if you're struggling with all the struggles that I talked about a couple videos ago. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that. To me, I really loved talking about that because I've been talking on the phone to former athletes since 2018, and I like to think that I've captured a lot of data about what you struggle with. So let's dive into my background and my story. So I'm going to be real with y'all. I was not a college athlete. I was very average. I was a very average athlete. I played softball, was like my main sport in high school. And I graduated in 2009. So this is a long time ago. I was pretty lazy, if I'm being honest. I didn't come from this genetically blessed background. I didn't come from this like huge sports family. And my genetics are against me, truly. They're not great. And I've had to work really hard to overcome them. Health wise, I'm great, but physically, physique wise, and just overall raw talent, it's not there. So I've had to work really hard for that. But when I was younger, I just was just happy to be there. I was just happy to be a part of the team. And that's what I loved. So I wasn't super I was okay talented. I would have been more talented if I would have worked harder, I think. But regardless, so in college, I actually was an athletic trainer. I was an athletic trainer up until about 2018, most of my professional life. And in college, we couldn't be both. We couldn't be an athlete and an athletic trainer, but I could not have been a college athlete just because I wasn't that good. And that's just what it is. So I spent a lot of time working on athletes, working through their injuries, working through getting them back to high performance. I later became a strength coach because I just enjoyed that atmosphere so much better. I would do all my rehabs in the weight room and just get really connected with the strength conditioning staff and cared more about the preventative than the reactive part of athletics and injury prevention, all of that. I became a strength coach, but I practiced as both up until about 2018. Obviously, I still do strength conditioning now, even if it's online, but I still practice that. Don't do any sports medicine anymore. So once I graduated, actually my senior year of college, an undergrad, so in 2013, I decided that I can compete in a bikini competition. It was really big. It was coming up. It was, the 2010, 2011, 2012. Everybody started getting into it. And it got me into really great shape and it got me into falling in love with personal training and just, being fit, all of those things. So I definitely don't regret it. But my senior year of college, I stopped drinking alcohol. I started eating very clean. I lost a lot of weight because, college and drinking and all of the things. And so I competed in my first bikini show in 2013. So really my whole athletic career was me making up for not being a college athlete. And then so I became an athlete in my adult years. So my track is a little bit different than, probably a lot of you guys watching. I competed in my first bikini competition. I loved it. I didn't look all that impressive. If I'm being honest, I just looked like I dieted, but that's kind of how it was back then. Everybody was getting into it. So then I competed in another one a year later, looked a lot better. I had a little bit more guidance and direction, had a little bit more coaching somebody helping me with everything. So I knew a little bit more about what I was doing, but I really didn't gain the muscle that I needed to gain. And back then, bikini it wasn't as muscular as it is now. Like those girls in bikini look amazing. They're beautiful. Like their glutes and their legs are just ginormous, and shoulders, I couldn't keep up if I was doing it now. I mean, I could, but I would have to like really adjust my whole entire lifestyle. What I ended up doing after my second bikini competition, I moved to a strength conditioning facility in Columbus, Ohio, and I got really into powerlifting. So I was around all the guys and a couple girls, and we just powerlifted, and we would lift from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. every single day. And it was such a good time. I would wake up at 5 a.m. and train, my clients until about noon. Then we would train together as a team. And then we would train kids and adults from 4 to 8 and then do it all over again the next day. What a time to be alive. This is around 2014, 2015, 2016. So this is around that time in 2017. And oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I competed in maybe 4 or 5 powerlifting competitions. I loved it because it was objective. Either you lifted the weight or you didn't. Not like bikini where there's so many different things that, the judges are looking for, and every show is different. And obviously the rigors of being on a very strict diet and cardio and training, like all of those things combined, mentally, it's really tough. Powerlifting, you just go in and you have to train hard, but that's about it. And, just make sure your nutrition is decent and just lift heavy. And if you're a recurring competitor, you just lift heavier than you did the last meet. And it's not easy. I don't want to say it was easy, but it's not as intense as a bodybuilding competition. So did a few powerlifting competitions, got a lot of muscle, a ton of muscle. And then I decided, fuck it, I'm going to go and I'm going to do a figure competition. So when you are competing in women's bodybuilding, you've got bikini. Well, now you have another division before that, but that wasn't a thing. So you have bikini, then you have figure. So figure is a level up. So it's a lot bigger. The poses are different. You're looking for more muscle. You're looking for, wide lats. It was a bit more athletic than what bikini was. Now, bikini obviously is super athletic, but I digress. And so I was like, I'm going to do a figure competition. And because I trained so hard with powerlifting, I actually had the muscle to support that. So many women want to go into a bikini competition and they have zero muscle or not enough, and they don't look good. They're not competitive, but they just want to diet and they want to do the stage thing and they want to compete and they want, the essentially attention and to see what they can do. I get it, but if you really want to be competitive, you've got to have a good level of muscle underneath of you. So anyways, did really well there. That was probably the best I ever looked was in 2016 in that figure show. And then things got rocky. I dieted down. I lost, probably about 25 pounds throughout that comp prep. I looked like a superhero. I looked so good. And I just remember this is going to get really fucked up. So trigger warning for anybody with eating disorders or past eating disorders. Leading up to the show, you just do what you have to do. You're not eating out. You're not drinking alcohol. You're so focused on the stage that you don't care about anything else. And, I was getting irritable because my calories, got down to like 8 or 900. That's pretty crazy. During the prep, I was fine. I was loving it. I was like so in it. And then after, and not a lot of people talk about this, everybody wants to compete, but nobody understands the mental issues that come after that, potentially, like if you're not ready for it. So I lost a ton of weight. I looked so good. This is so fucked up. My boss at the time, so I was working at a private strength conditioning facility. And I remember him saying, which I don't think that you could probably say things like this anymore. I remember him saying, like, you being so lean is going to help us get new members in the gym. And I was like, fuck yeah, I am. But like looking back at that, that's so fucked up because I tied my worth, I tied my talent to my body and my leanness. And so I was like, oh yeah, I want to make him proud. Like I want to make everybody proud. I want to be this person for the gym. So after the competition, actually my boyfriend proposed to me. So my husband now, he proposed to me a couple days after that. And it was honestly the perfect time because I had no idea. I was just so out of it leading up to the show. I had no idea it was coming. No idea. And he also worked in the same place that I did. And so everybody knew but me. Like that's how tunnel vision and out of it I was. He proposes, we go on vacation, and I remember his mom brought cinnamon rolls from the store. And I think I ate the whole entire thing. You know what I'm talking about? Like the in the plastic box, 9x9 cinnamon rolls, cream cheese frosting. And I like was eating everything. I was eating everything that I saw. And I remember the next day I woke up and Adam was like, whoa, I had looked like I got stung by a bee. It's like overnight, my body just said, fuck you. And it just showed up in my face. Let me backtrack. After the competition, I was so food focused, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad when I see this because I get it. But also it can be a very slippery slope when competitors have their medal, and they're done competing and then they're biting into a donut or a cookie for the first time in like 20 weeks. And either that is a fun, piece of content that's like a fun moment, or it's the start to a really dark time. For me, it was a start to a really dark time. So I remember after the show that night, I tried to go out and I tried to eat, and like my stomach hurt so bad. And I remember going home by myself. Everybody went to bed, and I would take Oreos and I would dip them in canned frosting and I would eat them. Like, what the fuck? I would never even want to do that now, but that's how food focused I was. And so fast forward to the vacation, I'm eating whatever, I'm drinking beer, I'm like doing all the things that I haven't done in 20 weeks. So I got to get back on my shit. And I tried to bring my calories down again and just try to reverse out of this. And I had a coach during this time too. I wasn't honest with him. I was shameful. I wasn't checking in. And that's a recipe for disaster. I see that, with our athletes too, sometimes like the reason why people don't check in or tell you what's going on because they feel that shame. And I've been there. I get it. When I came back from vacation, I don't remember exactly how much I weighed after that, but I was creeping up there. I definitely didn't have as much lines anymore. When you're competing, you're dehydrated, so you look different on stage versus 2 weeks later. It's kind of crazy. Some people like gain like 5 to 10 pounds back, just like getting your body to a healthy level. So I remember, I was personal training and we had a break in the middle of the day. Either we would train or it was an off day. I remember it was an off day and I would go into the store. Every time I went into the store, I was so food focused and I'm like, what sweet treat am I going to get? What sweet treat? I would go out of my way to go to the bakery out. I would go out of my way to go get donuts. I remember, and this is like such a crazy time. I swear, this was like my drug. And I remember going and getting a pack of double stuffed Oreos. And I remember eating, I think, entire sleeves of Oreos at like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. And then going back to personal training people. And I felt so bad. I had huge stomach issues. I was really struggling with my digestive system, but like I didn't even care. I just like wanted the sugar. I wanted the food. I wanted the donuts. I wanted all of those things. I wanted the sweets. So I would give myself terrible stomach aches and terrible stomach cramps. And before you know it, I gained 35 pounds in 2 months. So talk about a smack to the face. Talk about, waking up to say like all my hard work was for nothing. Actually, I am worse than when I started this prep. So for those of you who might like look at me and say, oh, she's got it all figured out, or she's got such good food freedom. I do now. But remember, this was 10 years ago. I did not. I was so lost. I was so shameful. I think that's another big thing. I was so shameful. And I could not believe that I had done that to myself. I could not believe that I got that bad. No one said anything, but they were all thinking it, and it was a really dark time. Thought, man, I was at my peak and I let myself go, and it was hard. And so I relate to you if you feel the same way. If you feel like you were once at your peak and then you all of a sudden overnight blink and you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror. I get it. I get it. That was my first big former athlete shame identity loop. How I came out of that, one of my best friends, he started online coaching and I became his first client and we moved. So we moved away from Columbus. We actually got married that summer. So I was not where I wanted to be at my wedding. I did not think that I looked good. I took advantage of all this weight gain and I just got really fucking strong. I went back to powerlifting and I just got really fucking strong. And I had actually built a good amount of muscle, if I'm being honest. So I was like, hey, if I'm not going to be lean, I'm going to be fucking strong. And I was. So that was cool. Adam proposed in October. I gained all this weight. And then we got married in July. So I didn't have a whole lot of time. I forgot about this. I actually was like, hey, I'm going to compete again in April of 2017. So when I got my dress in the winter of 2016, I remember getting my dress thinking, oh, I'm going to be like so different. I'm going to lose so much weight. We're going to have to take this in. I bought a dress for the physique that I thought I would be in. I did not buy a dress for how I looked in it at the time. Sure, I was like, oh, it's beautiful, whatever. But it wasn't like, I don't remember looking at myself in that dress and being like, oh, I feel like the most beautiful bride or whatever. I said, you know what? I love this dress and it's going to look even better when I'm 20 pounds lighter. And brides say that shit all the time. And it's so fucked up. So one of my athletes, she's a bikini competitor and she is a bit up from her stage weight due to many different reasons. She's definitely like not like binge eating, it's just, hey, she competed, a year and a half ago and physique is very different. So that's like the mind fuck that bodybuilding plays on you. So you have to be conscious of that. And she just got engaged and just got a dress. And so I said, hey, when you go into getting your dress, you have to find a dress that you love and fucking adore on you right now. Yes, we're going to be cutting for your wedding and that's going to be cool, but you have to love the dress that you're getting now. And you have to love the way that it looks on you now if nothing changes. And I'm going to cry. I wish somebody would have told me that. I do. I wish somebody would have told me that. Back then there's nobody did. Because they were like, oh, Kayla's great. She's going to compete again and she's going to be great. And, my friends, I love them, but they're biased, right? Like, oh yeah, she's going to, do that. So I tried to cut. I remember, I think it was like it was like January, February. I was trying to cut. I was binge eating. I was like not tracking things. I could not do it. And, I was just like, I can't do this. I just maintained. I didn't get any worse. I just maintained. And I'm glad that I did not try to step on a stage because who knows like how fucked I would have been mentally, physically, hormonally. Oh my God, it was so fucked. Guys, I get it. I understand being at the highest point and then being at the lowest point not too long after that and wondering how the fuck you're going to get out of it. And feeling that shame and feeling like, why can't I just do this? I am very smart. I'm an athlete. I should be able to do this. A should is a could with shame. When a should is a could with shame. One of my best friends said that to me a couple years ago. And I was like, whenever we say I should know what to do, a should is a could with shame. So I had a lot of shame. And I know a lot of the women that I talk to have the same sort of shame. Like, we don't label it as shame because we feel like that's probably too deep, but that's what it is. That's what it is. So it took me having to hire my friend to coach me. Actually, I think he coached me for free. Yeah, he totally coached me for free. We moved states. So I got out of that environment. I started tracking my macros. I was doing a full meal plan at the time of this whole competition. And I was just like going off of a meal plan. And I then found macros and his name is Bryce. And he was like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And I really stuck to it. And macros actually made me have a bit more food freedom because I was able to be a bit more flexible with what I was eating. I was able to add in like fun foods that I enjoyed. But it got to the point where I started seeing so much success that like I didn't even have the need for those foods anymore. I had to remove myself from the whole environment. And oh my gosh, did you guys hear my stomach growling? I started this podcast before I made breakfast because I just had so much on my brain that I wanted to share with you. So I am just living off of 1 cup of coffee and water and vibes. So it's okay. I'm going to go make a big breakfast as soon as I get done recording this. And I lost 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds. I felt so good. I felt so good. I felt so me and it was so worth it. And I just look back and I'm like, fuck, dude. I wish I could have went back 10 years ago and hugged Kayla and say, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be good. You're going to be great. And then I actually went on to compete in another figure competition and I did it right this time. Bryce helped me and I competed in 2018, 2019. So 3 years between shows. It wasn't like my best look because I didn't have as much muscle, because I wasn't lifting as heavy because I just wasn't powerlifting, which is interesting. So I didn't have as much muscle and I competed in a natural show. The reason I competed then is because I really wanted to come out of it better, and I did. So it really wasn't for the actual competition itself, it's for the after effect to prove I'm gonna cry again. To prove to myself that I can fucking do it. And confidence comes from making a goal and making a promise to yourself and keeping it. That's where confidence comes from. It doesn't come from a physique. It doesn't come from strength. Yes, it does, but more so, it comes from keeping promises to yourself. Even as little as saying, I'm not going to snooze all week. I'm not going to hit snooze on my alarm all week. And you don't do that, the amount of confidence that comes from that task is more than hitting a PR and losing 10 pounds. You think I'm crazy, but that's true. Keeping promises to yourself. Also doing hard shit, being able to do hard shit that releases natural dopamine. So, things like hitting a PR or getting into a physique goal. So keeping a promise to yourself is confidence, and then being able to achieve hard fucking shit is going to help release dopamine and then just make you happier overall. So that's my crash out part 1. I'm going to do a whole separate video of my crash out part 2 because I got to another point recently, 2022, 2023, where I actually really fucked up my hormones, and not from a bikini competition, but just from life in general and how I came out of that. And that's a really, really good story too. But I wanted to give you the OG, the original crash out. How I gained 35 pounds in 2 months and crashed the fuck out. But I made it to the other side. Even on my part 2 crash out, I got to where I wanted to be much quicker than before, just because I'd built reps and, habits over the years. So that was my first crash out. And I just wanted to share that with you because I wanted to let you know I got you. I understand where you're at. I understand being at your peak and then plummeting and feeling like there's no way out. I get it. I get it. A lot of shame, a lot of pressure, and eventually came out of it. And so just letting you know, like, you can get out. If you're there right now, it's really hard to envision yourself on the other side of that, but it is coming for you. It is coming for you if you take the action. Now, if you don't take the action and you don't do anything about it, then it's not, because no one's coming to save you but you. But if you are taking the action and you are making steps in the right direction over time and faith in yourself, you will get there. Also, I clear this up of saying I did not get professional help. I truly thought I had an eating disorder. I didn't think about it then, but I look back to it now. And if I were my own friend and my friend was telling me this, I would say, girl, you might need to get some help with this. Because I remember I would throw things away in the trash can and this is so gross. And I would literally like go out and get it, like get and eat it. So fucked up. I remember I would go to the store, get candy, throw the wrappers in my car, and I would throw them in the dumpster before I went home so, like, my husband wouldn't see. And I didn't tell anybody this. I told nobody this. Could never. Could never. Oh my God. I just remember these scenes so vividly. And if I were my own friend, I would have said, hey, you need help. So I wanted to end this with saying, like, if you are going through these things and you feel very out of control, then we need to talk about finding resources for you to help with that. I was able to get out of it, not on my own, but like with a coach and tracking macros and finding food freedom, and the removing myself from environment maybe was therapy in itself, which I think that was a big thing. Remove from an environment. I started a new job. I went to a new state. Like it was just a transition point in my life, which I do think helped. But if I would have stayed there, I would have needed to go to therapy for sure. So I end with that. I end with, you might need, if you're in this spot right now, you might need professional help. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Back in 2016 was like almost not a thing yet. Now in 2026, it's very much a thing. And there's resources at our fingertips. So I love you so much. Thank you for listening to the last 30 minutes of this, of me just babble on. And hopefully this was helpful, insightful, and just relatable. And I got you. DMs are always open if you want to chat. And I'll talk to you on the next one.